Nigerians whose age are from 55 years and above must avoid mosques and churches for now. See reasons. From the federal government on Tuesday came an advisory to Nigerians. If you are 55 years old and above, avoid churches and mosques. Those with health conditions such as diabetes, cancer, HIV, among others, are also enjoined to stay at home to worship, the government added. It's noted that the advice was necessary because places of worship have been recognized as a major avenue of potential spread of COVID-19. The government stated this through the Presidential Task Force (PTF) on COVID-19 control. It released the guidelines for states to follow in discussions with religious leaders before the reopening of churches and mosques for worshippers. The government said the protocol made available would be the baseline, which the states are not expected to go below, while firmly up agreements with religious leaders. Nigerians have been pressuring the government to reopen worship centers in spite of the spike in COVID-19 positive cases, leading to easing of restrictions on religious centers. The PTF National Coordinator, Dr. Aliyu Sani, who announced the guidelines, said religious centers should keep a record of attendees. Dr. Sani said this would allow for contact tracing in the case of virus spread. He urged worshippers experiencing common symptoms of COVID-19 to stay away from churches and mosques. He said, "We are strongly advising vulnerable individuals, such as those with underlying conditions like diabetes, cardiovascular diseases, HIV, cancer, and those above the age of 55 years to please stay at home and consider remote participation or non-contact attendance." When we look at the death rate for persons who have died from COVID-19 in Nigeria, the case fatality rate, more than half of those that died were above the age of 50. Secondly, the case fatality rate if you are above the age of 50 is 17%. If you are above the age of 55, it is 18%. It is almost in 1 in 5 chances of dying if you catch COVID-19 and you fall within that group. Worshippers should be reminded not to attend in person if experiencing common symptoms of COVID-19, including fever, cough, and shortness of breath, or have had close contact with an infected person in the last 14 days. All worshippers noted to have temperature or any symptomatic should be turned back and not allowed admission. Places of worship should ideally keep up to date record of their staff, including contact details and, if possible, a record of attendees of church services, for instance, or a even small mosque to enable contact tracing in the event that somebody comes up positive. Considering the dangers posed by the pandemic, we strongly recommend that religious visits to homes by religious clerics should be discouraged. The national coordinator said, "It is important to note that due to the nature of religious congregation, places of worship are particularly recognized to have a major potential for spreading COVID-19 infection among worshippers, and this has been clearly demonstrated in several outbreaks globally linked to religious gatherings. Places of worship that are unable to comply with these measures should not be allowed to operate by state governments. Churches are to open from 5 a.m. and close by 8 p.m. Each service should be for a maximum of 1 hour with an interval of 20 minutes in between services to allow time for disinfection. He said the task force will not hesitate to shut down religious centers if they fail to comply with the protocol developed for their reopening. These guidelines provide a baseline for the states to then develop their own policies specific to their areas, depending on the relevance, prevalence of COVID-19, depending on whether or not people are likely to follow and comply fully. But we will be reviewing these guidelines from time to time, and we will definitely review them if it looks like we are having issues with regards to this relaxation. And I plead with public to understand with us, but more importantly, continue to stay safe. It is better to stay at home and worship than to go into a place of worship, he emphasized. Sani reminded Nigerians of the danger posed by the virus, noting that now is not the time to relax measures against the pandemic. Let me make some clarification because I understand there has been a lot of concern nationwide about the opening of places of worship. There is no doubt that COVID-19 is still around. There is no doubt that it is safer for you to stay at home, and there is also no doubt that it is safer for you to worship at home. The PTF is providing safety advisory or guidance in the event that you need to upgrade your spiritual needs and you cannot do it at home. But we are not making recommendations that people should go to places of worship. But if they choose to, we are providing advisory to enable them to do so safely. Thank you for listening to this news. Well, viewers, based on what has already been said by the federal government, this is an observation anyway, and it is not bad. But then, this condition, does it still apply to the religious leaders? Because most of the religious leaders, in fact almost all of them, are above the age specified. So does it also affect them? Because now they are placing the age from 55 years and above, and the religious leaders in Nigeria, in fact almost all of them, are above that age. So it means that there won't be someone that the religious leaders don't need to come to church as well. And if they don't come to church, who then is going to lead them? And remember, there should be no in things that has to do with God. There must not be anything like tribalism. There must not be tribalism. So since federal government is placing this policy and conditions, then it should affect the religious leaders because they are above that age. So you can't just tell the congregations, the members that are from that age, to stay at home. You understand? I know you're trying to care for them. You're trying to you're after their health. You're after you're after them. You want their safety, and that is why you have said that if they are from that age above, that they should stay at home. Good and fine. But then what I'm trying to say that it should also be applicable to the religious leaders. Check it out. That is just it. So as for the other conditions like cancer, people with cancer, HIV, I concur to that, because those ones are very much allergic to that, to contact that virus. So, my viewers, I want to believe that you have one or two things to communicate based on what I've just been read. So please don't forget, your comments are very much important. Don't forget to leave them behind. Click on the subscription buttons as well as bell button to receive more updates. Thank you.